Good afternoon! Welcome back to the Suit Up Geek Fix podcast. I'm Lo from sunny California, and we're here today to talk a spoiler review of the Book of Boba Fett. Better yet, the season finale of the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 7. And with us, as always, from Philly is Dibes. How are you, Mr. Crockpot?
I'm good, man. It's a bittersweet day. It truly is, man. Like anytime Star Wars content, hits its end, it is a bittersweet day. But I'm excited to talk about some Star Wars, and I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer here, but that doesn't take away my overall enjoyment of this season.
I'm gonna give you one of those Ben Solo. And we have some awesome guests joining us today. For the first time, we have Sarah, and she has her own podcast called Hello There. Thank you for joining us, Sarah.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to get into Book of Boba Fett.
Awesome. And as always, for most of the season, we've had Ryan Cam with us. How are you doing, Ryan? Did you enjoy this one? You weren't happy last week.
Well, actually, I did. I greatly enjoyed parts of it. I was going to tell Deeps, that's my gimmick to not like something on the show. That's mine.
So just before we go, the show, the episode was fine. I just disagree with a lot of what went down.
Oh, I know exactly what you're upset about, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit. So, let's just kick this off how we always do. My general first impressions of the episode was finally, because I'll admittedly, as a huge Robert Rodriguez fan, he was kind of like holding back a little bit, especially episode 3. That not a lot happened. We meet that cool gang of the mods, and I actually like them. A lot of people don't like them. A lot of people on the internet say a lot of mean things, like Power Rangers and whatever the hell you want to call it, but I like the mods, and I love Sophie Thatcher. I think she's going to be huge. I just finished watching Yellow Jackets, and she's great in it. So, yeah, anyways, besides that, I think Rodriguez finally got to do what he does. We haven't seen it since Boba Fett premiered in The Mandalorian in Season 2, but he finally did it. And what people, I think, are failing to realize is this entire setup of this entire show is a Western. It was the gunfight at the OK Corral. Last week was the good, the bad, and the ugly. This was just a Western showcase through and through. And honestly, when we had Mando and Boba back to back, I was getting like shades of Desperado. And for me, as a Robert Rodriguez fan, it was like, thank goodness he brought us here, and I had a lot of fun. I'm gonna throw it down to our newest guest, Sarah. What were your first impressions of this week's episode?
It was definitely giving me Tombstone. It was giving me Desperado. It was giving me like you said, like he finally got to come unleashed, and you got more of that, element that kind of like smack you upside the head element that the tragedy had. When, like you said, when we first met Boba in The Mandalorian, you could see how Robert Rodriguez had to, get away with what he could in terms of, an impact of a hit, or seeing, like when we saw the Gamorreans fall down, it's like, we heard them squealing, we saw them going, but like, you don't get that at the end. And so I think it was wonderful to get as far as you can push it with, Star Wars, and still have it fun for kids to watch, and not like, you're not having blood and guts and stuff flying everywhere, but like, you can see Black Chrysanthemum, rip a Trandoshan arm and throw it across the room, and still have it be cool, but not, overly gratuitous, which, there's always a time and a place for. So yeah, I enjoyed its ability to put it all out there. It was a lot, but it was all out there. So that was good.
Awesome. I'm gonna go diagonal. Dives. You seem very disappointed, so just hit us with it, man. We're gonna sandwich this with some positivity.
Yeah, let me start. I've enjoyed this season. The last 2 episodes were absolutely terrific. Arguably some of my favorite Star Wars content in recent years, period. There are a lot of positives this week we'll get into. But unfortunately, I think the finale just really missed the mark. And for me, it starts at the top. I'm sure Robert Rodriguez is a really nice guy. I'm sure he's great. But there's just something that does not click with his style of directing. There's no reason why he should have been given 3 episodes to direct here, especially when Bryce Dallas Howard is knocking it out of the park every single frickin' time. It makes no sense for me. Like Bryce Dallas Howard has such a more epic cinematic feel about her direction. And I'm just not a Rodriguez fan, man. You look at, his 3 episodes in this season, he's the weak link. I know he didn't write them, which is my biggest problem with this finale, but it is what it is. So the writing was my biggest concern, man. I thought the entire point of the last 2 episodes was to introduce and weave like a Dave Filoni-esque type of story that we've seen from Star Wars Rebels, from the Clone Wars, that set up other projects, weaving amazing characters in a bigger storyline. That didn't happen. I guess my expectations were way too high. Like for example, like nothing against Fennec, and I think she's awesome, but why in the world would it not be Boba Fett taking out the Pikes leader, taking out the mayor who betrayed him in that final shot? That would have been such a awesome, epic moment for Boba in his own show. Why not introduce Crimson Dawn, and set up an epic showdown for down the road in another show? They literally played the Crimson Dawn score in this one from Solo, and nothing happened out of Crimson Dawn. Like, I think the best thing this series did for me was introduce Cad Bane. Why not set him up, as a big bad for a season 3 of The Mandalorian, with, Grogu and Din on the run. Maybe Boba's like, in Slave One behind them on their way to Mandalore, rather than kill him off like with literally like 20 seconds of screen time. But Cad Bane was absolutely terrific. And I disliked how they just resolved Grogu's decision in like the most anticlimactic way imaginable. I don't think anybody can deny that like the Book of Boba Fett was essentially the Mandalorian 2.5, and I just wanted more. I wanted more from this show for me. And I don't think it was a terrible episode by any means, but the creative process, some of the decision-making, some of the characters really made me scratch my head in this one. So I'm not upset that Boba didn't have any screen time in episodes 5 or 6, but I'm upset about the storytelling. It feels like Dave Filoni made his live-action Cad Bane and said, fuck it, I'm out, and that was it.
So I actually have an interesting take on why it ended the way it did, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. I want to say what's up to Matt. He's saying, what up, everyone? He agrees with you. He thinks that there were some great parts, but he felt underwhelmed. I hear you guys. I hear you, but I feel like thematically, I feel like Boba ended up where he needed to end up, and I don't want to take away from Ryan's time. So really quick, Ryan, give us some of your first impressions.
So for the, I'm sorry, I'm distracted, but for the actual battle itself, the actual like shootout at the end, I thought that was great. That was the highlight of the entire episode and show for me. I know that seems bold, but that was done so well. It was so much fun. The spider droids and Boba riding the Rancor. I literally was like, I was yelling, just poke it in the eye. And sure enough, pokes it in the eye, so it was listening to me. But I feel like this is a tale of 2 different TV shows. You have the Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian Season 2.5, and then the rest of the Book of Boba Fett. That's why I don't like episodes 5 and 6. It feels like a completely different story, and they tried to have their cake and eat it too, and it just didn't work. It feels like one person wrote the beginning, and it was like, all right, set everything up. Let's have Colonel Mustard kill Professor Plum in the library with the pipe. And then Dave Filoni came along and burned down the house and stored the ashes somewhere where Robert Rodriguez could not find it. And then Robert Rodriguez came along and was like, where did my house go? And like pieced together whatever he could. That's what this show felt to me. This is what that and Rise of Skywalker feels like to me, but that's another thing for another time. So good elements, but I agree with what Matt was saying. Underwhelming by a significant margin.
Interesting. I want to say what's up to Tyler. He got his Boba on a Rancor, so he is happy. I was saving that moment. You know what? I'll let us get into it. So real quick, Sarah, give us some of your favorite moments. We need to bring the positivity level back up.
Okay, in terms of the finale, okay. I would say, for me, I was like, Fennec has like stuck to me. Like I have really just grown to just be really intrigued by this character. I just finally watched Bad Batch like over the last couple months. So as
Nice.
this show was going on, I was watching Bad Batch, and so like, you know, I kind of met Cad Bane for the first time through Bad Batch, and then seeing Fennec pop up, like, you know, I'm slowly going through my animated journey here. So some of these characters I don't have as much of an emotional connection to or attachments to. So, you know, they're building up there. And like, so her whole deal at the end, her whole Godfather, you know, at the freaking christening scene, you know, seeing those Furry-Asaurian feet get thrown up into the air was like, what? Like they just strung up a freaking alien creature. Like it was nuts. So that was really cool. And then I thought when Cad Bane pulled off Boba's helmet, one thing that I really connected to in that specific moment was seeing his face, just seeing Boba on the ground, you know, completely vulnerable, you know, head-wise. And I just felt like, dude, this is like the clone. Like, this is like, you know, I get Django, but like, this is, you know, every face. This face is the face of 1,000 different characters. And I just thought that was really cool. I thought, you know, that tied in pretty well, kind of toying with his boyishness. It kind of got a little cheesy for a minute, but, you know, there's always like a big, bad, scary guy that can kind of like poke at the little kid inside of you. You know what I mean? And then the Rancor stuff was like, as Guy Fieri says, like out of bounds. Just like the flying and the noise and the vibration coming from the TV and everybody in the scene realizing like, oh shit, like there's something big is coming in. And, you know, then with just Grogu taking a little nap afterwards, you know, calming him down was really nice. It was like a nice, you know, I know, you know, people, you know, Rise of Skywalker had the moment where Rey calms down that weird snake monster creature, so it was kind of reminiscent to that. And I like a little more care when it comes to our big monsters, you know, like they're not always these big, you know, blowing everything up, tearing them down. And we saw that kind of emotional, you know, synergy with Boba and the Rancor, you know, when he first meets it. So it was nice that, you know, it wasn't like a total King Kong moment. So, yeah.
That Guy Fieri reference, I love you for that.
Hey,
Flavor
really quick,
Town.
if you guys aren't
Flavor Town.
familiar, so let's put some cheers up for the Gamorrean guards.
Oh man,
I
that's
love
great.
those guys. I was so sad.
I
RIP
have
to the guards. They were so
100%.
great.
The
I don't
squeals
know.
were so sad.
I know. No, when they went down, I was like, no. I want to say what's up to Doug in the chat. Thanks for joining us. He didn't really like the mods. I get it. I know they look
So
out of
bad.
this world, but I don't know. Something about them just speaks to me personally. The hot rod stuff. I'm gonna go into my favorite moments really quickly. Shouts out to Black Chris. I was
Black
practicing this.
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum.
Mhm.
Or Santo.
Black K. I was practicing this before the show. I'm so embarrassed. Black K, when we thought he was done for and the Trandoshans jumped him, I was already sad. But then to see him like dramatically come out of the shadows, like just throwing bodies along his way, and he's all bloody, I was like, yeah, the Wookiee lives. That was such a heroic moment for me. And to be honest, I thought he was gonna die. I was getting like Boromir vibes from like Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
I know I can see like the mods like running to his rescue and he's getting shot, and I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna kill him. Like, so that was pulling at my heartstrings, and I love that guy. He really got to shine this episode. But I already touched on my favorite part. My favorite part was the Jetpack Brothers. First Tyler. Tyler actually mentioned it. The Mandalorian Jetpack Brothers. That was so flippin' cool. And also the code of honor that they both share in different ways. Like Boba is overall as a good soul, a good heart that's just doing better for the good. He didn't want to leave the people of Mos Espa. You know, Mando was like, why don't you just get out of here? And he was like, no, I can't leave them behind. I'll stay here. And then, you know, Mando was like, all right, well, if you're staying here, I'm with you till the end. And that just, the Warriors code, the gunfighter code, that just spoke to me so much. And moments like that, makes up for a lot of the things. I agree with you, Dives. There were some little issues I had, but stuff like that is why I love this show, why I love The Mandalorian, and why I love Star Wars. I just love that bond, and it's just they nailed it in this episode. Throw it to Ryan. What's some favorite moments for you, man?
First of all, one does not simply kill off Black Chrysanthemum.
Nice.
Like I did mention it, my favorite part was the shootout that pretty much encompassed like the latter half. I thought it was very well done. It had several like stages to it that I really liked. I liked how Din and Boba had to improvise to take out one of the spider droids, one using a giant rancor. That'll about do it. Then the other one they had to get creative, and I love the physics of the death saber, or the dark saber, excuse me. I love how heavy it is. It's like it feels like a big old broadsword. You gotta swing over like that. It's like sort of like old school like Star Wars psychology that I loved seeing. I love how they're building it up. Like this thing is not just like a pen. Like this thing is heavy. So I loved that. The stuff with that Sarah mentioned with I almost called him Django. Boba and Cad Bane. I thought that was really good as well. I love Cad's line where he's like, "You forgot your last lesson. Always look out for yourself." I'm like, that's the most Cad Bane line ever right there. And so those would have to be my favorites.
All right, Dives, bring us home, man. What were some of the moments that you enjoyed? I know you weren't terribly overjoyed, but what did you enjoy?
No, there's some positives. Absolutely some positives. For me, I think the throwback to season 1 of The Mandalorian, when Grogu saves Din from the Mudhorn, was really awesome. We saw Grogu snuggle with the Rancor after he put him to sleep. That was just an epic moment. I didn't know I needed to see Grogu snuggle with a Rancor in my life, but here we are. That was an awesome moment. Grogu just killed this episode. The scene when Din finally realizes that Grogu's in that like chariot, whatever you want to call it, and like he literally like jumps up and like gives Din a hug. Oh, just like melted my heart, man. That was really, really cool. But obviously, the showdown between Cad Bane and Boba Fett was awesome. A lot of tension, especially the first showdown, just a lot of tension in that. And the second one was awesome. But for me, about the second one was the fact that you had a Rancor like literally a foot away from Cad Bane, and Cad Bane just looked right at the Rancor and was like, "Bring me the smoke. Bring me the smoke. I don't give a shit. You're going down," and just like hit him with the flamethrower. That was a really cool moment for me. But yeah, I still can't get over it, man. I'm not going to forgive this episode for killing Cad Bane. As someone who loves the Clone Wars to death, I have a huge attachment to Cad Bane. You do not kill Cad Bane. I do predictions of every single episode moving forward on this channel, and I really, really wanted Cad Bane to have more screen time moving forward into other projects. Cad Bane is such a fun character. He needed to be more fleshed out. I disliked how they were like the Pikes just threw it. Like I thought in our previous review that it was Cad Bane who killed the Tusken Raiders. It turned out it was the Pikes. It was just meaningless, and nothing happened as a result. That would have been a much more emotional kind of moment between Boba and Cad. I wish that didn't happen. It's kind of reminded me of like Doomsday and Batman versus Superman. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like you can't just like introduce arguably like the biggest badass in Star Wars and just like kill him, 20 minutes later.
I have a question for you, but I think Ryan had a question as well. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, actually, it was more of a follow-up point. I agree 100% with what Dives is saying, but when I was watching this, I was thinking to myself, Boba Fett was the original character with a lot of mystique that kind of got jobbed out. Now that's going to be Cad Bane. That's like the passing of the torch. Unless someone has watched the Clone Wars, which I have, and I know Dives has, and we all have, everyone's going to look, man, this character looks so cool. Why did they kill him off? It's just like the cycle restarts. Boba Fett is like, my mission is now complete, and now Cad Bane is like taken over. It's truly, truly, truly unfortunate, but.
So I have two things. First of all, Cad Bane is old by the time this episode appears, guys. And I like that Boba mentioned, like, hey, old man. I thought that was pretty cool. But secondly, like, I know you want to see more Cad Bane. I mean, you're salivating at the mouth at this point, and I think he's a great character. But at the same time, spoiler alert, Sarah. I don't know if you know about this, but Boba Fett and Cad Bane were supposed to face off in the final season of the Clone Wars.
Isn't that like an unfinished, like
Exactly.
it has like what hasn't been completely rendered? Okay, I've just seen like the clip in like, is that like where the dent is supposed to come
the
from?
dent.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's an unfinished battle, but Boba's supposed to kill him then. So my thing is, if you knew that all along, Dives, why are you complaining that it happened now? I mean, at least it happened at the hands of Boba.
But at least like make that the dent and like build it up. Like that there's so much more potential there.
I hear what you're saying though. I thought he was going to go into the season 3 of Mandalorian as well. But with that being said, let's kind of go into our final grades of the episode. Any final thoughts? Let's kick it back down to Sarah. Any final thoughts on the episode, and what would you grade it out of 10 if you could?
I would say, in terms of like you said, when we had Mando or Din and Boba together, you know, jetpacking, doing that whole like beautiful like positive like male brotherhood thing so well, like, you know, it was very Wyatt, very Doc Holliday. Even though these aren't old friends, they don't know each other that well, but they have been through something very significant with each other, which is one of my favorite things about Star Wars, is when people, you know, bond through these events and adventures and missions that they have to go through. So there's that inherent understanding between the two of them. And it did kind of feel like a little bit like an older brother and a younger brother, cousin type thing between the two of them. And I really, really, really liked that. And I thought that was done very well. And I really appreciated the little medieval Willow music that you got at the end when Fennec and Boba are just like walking through the streets. And he's like, well, at least people aren't shooting me anymore and blah, blah, blah. So I'd say that's one of the big standouts. I really appreciated that. I thought that was done super well. And yeah, it just felt like a just giant, long Western episode. And yeah, I would say maybe like 9.5 out of 10, because I always like give everything a good score, even if I don't like it. So I don't want to hurt anybody.
Decimals, even though Dives dislikes it. Ryan, overall grade, final thoughts, man.
Final thoughts. There were good individual parts, but I think the episode was weighed down by just the mistakes that were made along the way. Like I said, good parts, but in just the grand scheme, it was a rather big disappointment. For the episode, I will be a little generous and I'll go 7. The shootout was just awesome. I was so engrossed in everything happening there. And yeah, I'm psyched for Obi-Wan. I hope I'm not the only one.
Oh, you're not. Trust me. Dives, overall grade and final thoughts, man.
Especially if that Grand Inquisitor rumor is true. Oh my God, like that guy is going to be unbelievable on the small screen.
Yeah.
Grand Inquisitor is amazing. Oh, that would be epic. For me, I'm like in that 6.5 out of 10 range. This is not even close to the worst episodes this season. I just dislike the way this direction went after amazing 5-6 chapters 5 and 6. And just some weird head scratching moments in this episode. Like, how did Boba not expect a betrayal from the other families when they said directly to his face that like they're all getting rich from the spice trade? Like that. What made me mad about this episode was how amateurish the Pikes looked in this final finale. Like the Pikes are like legit like one of the biggest, you know, crime organizations in the galaxy. Like Boba and like a handful of people took him down. That is not acceptable for me. That is
with
not.
a Rancor.
All right, Boba
And a baby shamrock shake.
I'm incredibly sympathetic with you on that one, Dives. I don't know as much about the Pikes, but legit, there were points in there where I'm like, who are these Pikes? Where are they from? What are they doing here?
Yeah,
We can count on one hand the number of things that we know about them in this show. They're called the Pikes. They drive big ships. They deal in spice. You might as well call them the Atreides at this point.
I appreciate the Dune reference.
Luke saying "fuck it" and UPSing Grogu back to Mando like in a ship with R2D2 made no sense. Why would you send a little child across the galaxy with like little to no help? Like Luke is like losing me over these last like comics. First, you make this cute little adorable Grogu choose between the Jedi versus his dad. For Luke, who has daddy issues himself, he's not growing. Like he's actually regressing. And
that's like cultish behavior.
And this episode actually took away a little bit of the finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian. That's how much I just like people, the casuals watching season 3 of The Mandalorian are going to turn it on and be like, wait, what? There's going to be probably like a good 3 to 5 minute scene like of just narration and exposition and just explaining what happened in the book of Boba Fett. So yeah, I think Luke, he's just not learning anything. He's just not learning anything. I'm glad Grogu got the fuck out of that Jedi temple because you know where that's headed. So,
like,
I
you're
want
going to be going back
take.
to your dad in this humongous TIE fighter. Go with the Force. Whee!
Yeah, Luke would rather sit alone in a forest than help little Grogu and his friends. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Talk about some screwed up priorities.
Really quick, I want to speak to that because obviously when he, feels like he failed Ben and he becomes a hermit, I just feel like Luke is a flawed character. He's not perfect, and he's gonna make mistakes along the way. He's not the wise Jedi Master that he thinks he is right now. So that's my take on that. Really quickly, I also want to shout out Pelimoto. I freaking love Pelimoto.
You did? Oh,
awesome. And it cracked me up when the X-Wing
really?
came up. She was like, oh my god, an X-Wing! Hello, officer!
I just filed for my
fantastic.
registration today.
that didn't hit at all for me. That was like one of my least favorite parts of this episode. I think that's Robert Rodriguez. I don't know if it was like the timing or something. Like it was like, no, that did not work for me. And I love Pelimoto as a character. I've raved about her in every single episode, but like that just was unnecessary.
So real quick, final thoughts on the episode. I will say that I think it should have been a 6-episode season. As high as I was off of last week, it was like, oh my god, this was amazing. Ahsoka, Luke, Cad Bane. I think that episode was actually completely unnecessary. I have no problem with Return of the Mandalorian, which came before it. It kind of set up the finale and getting Mando back. But I agree with you to a sense, Dibes, that we didn't really need to see Luke and Grogu together. That could have been done in a flashback in Mando season 3. That could have been done in a flashback of wherever the story is going. But another thing I'll say is, I think this is the end for me. I think the way this tied up, the way it was so neatly, like they pretty much cut all the loose ends. And this is one thing I enjoyed. They didn't leave all these open things threaded. Cad Bane died, the Pikes left, Mos Espa is free, and it looks like Boba Fett's gonna live out his days as Daimyo. And to me, I think this is the end of Boba Fett. And I think for me, having this guy go from like 2 minutes of screen time in Empire Strikes Back, come all the way here, and maybe have one episode not about him or 2 episodes not about him, I'm fine. I think his journey is complete. I like where he went. I like where he ended up. It's not perfect by any means, but I enjoyed this journey for Boba personally. I'll give the episode a 9 actually.
Nice.
I liked it a lot. I had a lot of fun. 1 a.m, I was just laughing and screaming, and I was sad for the Gamorrean guards, and I was sad for Black K. I thought he was gonna die. And I was also very happy. Spoiler alert for anyone that's watching this and hasn't seen it. Cobb Vanth is alive! Cobb Vanth is alive! I was like, oh my god! I thought he was dead for sure. So yeah, that was my thoughts. So for this point, what's up, Ryan?
With a mysterious person with a laser scalpel over him, which...
Thundercat.
Thundercat's
back.
The Mog episode.
Yeah, for Fennec. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, Raylan Givens in space, I'm always all on board.
Well, that's good, because I love Cobb. I hope he comes back.
Yeah, Robo Cobb. He's going to be great.
Yeah, Timothy
I think we'll get like a visit. Like I think come season 3, like my hopeful like light end prediction would be that like at some point Din's like, oh, check in on an old friend, and it's like you think maybe it's Boba, but we're checking in on Cobb Vanth, or like, something like that. Like, so I think that there is this like nice little cobblestoned brick road that like leads to wherever we are in present day Star Wars land, which is, I guess, at the end of the sequel. So it would be interesting to see that, like, if Boba just chills and nobody tries to usurp him or take his throne, if he lives off for the next few decades until a nice old man death in his sleep, you know what I mean, without a bounty hunter coming to get him or something. So we'll see, but that's what I'm excited for.
We all agree here that Fennec is the leader of the group, right? Fennec is the general. She's the one, pulling the strings. She's the rational, the logical one. Boba is basically a civic planner. That's all he is. That's all he does is just like sit back and just plan shit. Meanwhile, Fennec is doing all the dirty work and doesn't get enough credit. It pisses me off.
You just made me think of Nightmare Before Christmas, and the mayor's like, I'm an elected official. I don't make decisions. Also, really quickly, dude, Fennec is an assassin, and I thought that her taking out the Pikes was very appropriate. I thought that was awesome. And plus, she wasn't getting enough love in the entire show anyway. It was nice to see her do something, and she's totally badass for that. She freaking Sarah, I love the reference, the Godfather reference. That was beautiful. So with that being said,
I've been watching it a lot lately.
I'm gonna catch up to you. I haven't seen part 2 yet.
Oh wow. Oh.
So as we reflect, I was kind of segueing already because I'm already reflecting on the entire series. Sarah, how do you feel about the series as a whole? Like, do you think the storytelling was okay? A lot of people are complaining there wasn't enough Boba. What do you think?
Okay, so I feel like I'm very empathetic, so like I feel like I've felt every argument to this. Like by like the end of episode 6, I was sort of like, well, I really kind of want to see Boba Fett again, but also like this is kind of cool, but it's but where does this all? So now that it's all done as a whole, was some of it clunky? Sure, yes, I think that happens when you have a few different directors with wildly different styles. Like Steve said, the Bryce Dallas Howard episode has way more of this cinematic element to it, right? Just a little bit more richer, where it's like, Filoni's gonna put in, his stuff, and Robert Rodriguez is gonna go bang bang pew pew pow pow through the hot streets of Tatooine. So it's like, I just try to like go through each episode as its own. So like now, yeah, it's a nice little book. It'll be cool to see how when Kenobi comes out, we're gonna see the pre stuff to this. We're literally gonna see after Jabba died. No. Sorry, because Luke and Leia are just babies. So Jabba, he's still like with the Jabba syndicate. It'll be interesting to see if we see any Pikes in Kenobi. I don't know. I just cracked open the book today. But anyways, to stop from rambling, I just thought like interesting book, very interesting, structured in a very unique and different way. And I don't think we'll ever see anything like this in Star Wars ever again, whether that's a good thing or bad thing to people. But I think this was like a one-shot deal with some of this kind of wild storytelling, and they would never have been able to do this in any kind of movie form at all. So yeah, I'm very happy with this kind of wild, interesting ride that was the Book of Boba Fett. We never had anything like it.
I think a lot of chapter 5 and 6 was for shock value, like surprise to the fans, and I think it kind of blew up in their face. I think Star Wars fans are mature enough to have a coherent story versus a stop in the middle of the story and then keep going. I think that's the biggest shock and the reason why this season is so divisive. Brian, how were your thoughts on the series as a whole? Seeing 1 through 7 all together.
Well, like I said at the beginning, it felt like a murder mystery that felt like it had a beginning and a middle. But when it came to the ending, it was... actually, let me back that up. It had a beginning. The middle was written by committee, and then the ending was written by one dude. It felt completely uneven, and because of that, it was a domino effect. Like at the end, it was like, oh, this thing is cool. Turns out, A, we either know nothing about it, or B, we know almost too much about it. Like, how many scenes was Boba Fett in that bantha tank when we could have learned about the Pikes or something to give context and more weight to the ending here? So, like I said, good parts, but bad overall. Well, not bad, but disappointing. That's what I'll say.
One thing I want to say too is I was also disappointed, Dives, that Bosk didn't show up. I thought for sure he was going to show up, especially when the Trandoshans jumped Black K.
They're literally in his area, and that's why I said about the Pikes making them look amateurish. Like, that would have been a perfect opportunity. I thought they were setting that up for sure. That would have been such a fun little sequence where you have, a showdown going down between Cad and Boba, and then you've got Bosk and Black K. Like, that would have been awesome. Like, just slugging it out. That would have been just missed opportunities.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised. I'm really shocked that Bosk didn't show up. But Dives, bring us home a little bit and then lead us into what we're excited for. So just kind of like reflections on the entire series, and then what are you most excited for going forward in the Star Wars universe?
I thought it was a good season. I disagree with a lot of people that were like anti Boba Fett. I thought overall this was a very enjoyable season, minus Robert Rodriguez. For me, Bryce Dallas Howard, I think, is one of the main takeaways of this season. I think if anybody deserves like 3 episodes for The Mandalorian, Andor, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, or even a film, she 100% has knocked it out of the park so many freaking times, and she's earned it. Not Robert Rodriguez. I'm sorry, like that just is not working. So for me, the takeaway is I thought it was a good season. I'd probably give it like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Some of the high moments are, big time Star Wars amazing moments for me. I am an Ahsoka truther. I'm literally wearing my Ahsoka shirt.
Nice.
I love me some Ahsoka. So for me, moving forward, Obi-Wan's going to be awesome. I really hope they give Anakin more justice. Like Clone Wars Anakin is so amazing. So amazing. I hope that they, rub some of that, into, this small screen live action Anakin this time around. Obviously, Grand Inquisitor is going to be terrific. If that's real, that's going to be awesome. And seeing Darth Vader on the small screen again. I mean, who's not excited about Obi-Wan? That's going to be terrific. But the show for me, hands down, top notch, biggest, most anticipated show. I don't think it's coming out this year. Probably next year is Ahsoka. The search for Ezra Bridger. Sarah, you have to watch Star Wars Rebels, please, 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 please.
I'm almost done with season 1, so I'm slowly.
Oh, it gets so good after that. That's like literally like season 2 is where it takes off.
Okay, and Ezra Bridger is just like one of the funniest characters to me, ever existed. So Ahsoka is going to deal with a lot of what goes down in Star Wars Rebels. And the Ahsoka show, Grand Admiral Thrawn, live action, I think that's going to be the biggest game changer for Star Wars right now. That is going to, unfortunately, hopefully they'll kill him off after 5 minutes of total screen time like they did with Cad Bane. But I think Thrawn has potential to be the villain, the Star Wars villain that everyone talks about for 10 years from now. So for me, it is the Ahsoka series. I'm not really excited about Andor. We don't really know much about it. We'll see how that goes. But for me, it's Ahsoka's here, Obi-Wan's here. As crazy as that sounds, Ahsoka is the best. She is her character. She's so independent. She speaks her mind. She's not afraid to speak her mind, and I just love her to death. So that combination is going to be terrific. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. 7.5 or 8 out of 10. For She's
Boba
so rad. She's so rad.
Oh, she's the best.
Ahsoka's the queen.
She's going that was kind of the other takeaway of this season was I truly hope we get some sort of flashback between Luke and Ahsoka, because we kind of were thrown into, they already know each other. They're basically big brother, big sister at this point, which was really fascinating. I love that episode. And maybe we'll get a flashback of that. That would be mind-blowing.
Really
quick,
chat is popping off. Tyler said the Back to Tank had more screen time than Cad Bane. Doug Brown says, "Bring me Grand Inquisitor, but don't kill him after the second episode." Thank you guys.
Oh,
for
no.
You know
you
what?
guys are killing it.
The back to tank has turned out to be quite an MVP character in the Star Wars universe between Luke and his dad and Boba and Cobb. Am I missing one? Oh, there was like, I don't know. I can't think of one on the top of my head. But yeah.
Talk about another head scratcher. In this episode, like during the final fight scene, am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong. But the guy that's from Freetown literally, says to Din or to Boba, says Cobb was shot down in cold blood. Does that mean he's dead or what? Is there a different translation or what's going on? And then like literally 10, 20 minutes later, Cobb is just chilling in the back to tank. Like nothing happened.
All in black too, and like Luke Skywalker black. It looks good. I was like,
I'm also wondering, like, did they put him in there when he was already dead? Was
He's getting yassified. I'm excited. He's gonna come back
Ryan,
funky and fresh.
What are you most looking forward to in this epic Star Wars universe?
Well, I think the Ahsoka series should be excellent. I think that's no question there. Star Wars Rebels was a show that is very important to me. I watched all of it like on Disney XD when it premiered. Like I remember
Disney XD.
Shout out to them. I remember seeing the trailers and the promos for it because Star Wars Clone Wars had just ended, and I was kind of in like a what do I do now kind of phase, because it was like my tradition. Myself and my dad, we would watch it every Friday night. It was like our thing. And it was like, what do I do now? And then Rebels comes along and it's great. So I'm looking forward to Ahsoka. However, I guess in like a 1A, 1B situation, Obi-Wan takes the cake. Like just barely. It's like Ahsoka's here, like Obi-Wan's like right here. Like,
okay.
Just about.
The A side and the B side.
Yeah, exactly that. And the Andor show, I honestly could care less. It may be good, who knows? But the only thing that I know about Andor is from Rogue One, who casually just shoots one of his rebel co-mates when it's convenient for him, and yells at Felicity Jones, who's like, "I've been in this since I was 6 years old." Like, and how far have you gotten there, my friend? So I don't know. It could be good, but that's the one like down in the basement. And then it's Obi-Wan and Ahsoka like neck and neck with each other.
You guys are killing me. No Rogue One slander and no more Rodriguez slander. I'm gonna put up some fisticuffs in a second.
I'm not talking shit on Rogue One. That's just a masterpiece. I'm not.
Rogue One is good. I will say that, but.
I hope in terms of Andor, we get, and I hate to be like the person that's like, I hope all these people come back, but timeline wise, we should see Jimmy Smith. We should be able to see some Bail Organa, which would be like, I don't know. He makes me emotional. Like, I just love him so much. And like, hopefully, maybe a little Leia. And I know I did see maybe a few tweets that like some people were like, we didn't get a single mention of like Hutt Slayer Leia at all throughout the season. Bro, I thought in the first episode, right, when he kills the stop motion Harryhausen looking monster thing, I felt like when he took his chain and like, snuffed it out, I felt like that was like a direct Leia like shout out without saying it. That's what I picked up on. Like, I was watching Boba Fett in Tatooine take on a monster with nothing more than a little painter's outfit and the chain, and it was a nice like Leia moment. So hopefully maybe we'll get a little bit in Andor about her, but I wouldn't want to take away too much from Cassian, so we'll see.
So Sarah, what is the series or movie that you're most looking forward to coming up?
I was gonna say, do we know anything movie-wise anime? Like,
Patty Jenkins is doing Rogue Squadron.
Okay, we still have that one, right? And isn't Taika Waititi? Wasn't he set to do one too? Okay.
Yep. But we have no idea what that's gonna be. And then we also have Lando coming, and then we also have the Acolyte.
Right.
Acolytes are gonna be
From all that I've seen,
I haven't gotten into the High Republic, but I've seen some people like kind of hopefully think that maybe the Acolyte will have something to do with the High Republic. I have no idea. I'm looking forward to like getting more into that spot because it seems like a nice little sweet spot in the Star Wars fandom and everything. But I am absolutely like, I can't even think about Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen or anything like that because I get just, it's almost like Christmas. Like I was mostly off my phone throughout the day, checked in with Twitter a few times, and I was like chilling, cracking open the Obi-Wan Kenobi book where I saw like a few things pop up on my notifications, and I was like, okay, it's coming out on May 25th, like Gemini season, twin suns, Obi-Wan Kenobi in that second shadow of himself, you know, this second what is it, persona and identity that he has to take on, and literally watching over a twin. So I just thought that symbolism there, even if you're not an astrology girl like myself, you can appreciate the twin and the dualityness of what's to come. So that's all. And Ahsoka.
Love it. I'm actually very similar to Ryan. Ahsoka's my 1A. For everything Dives kind of laid out already. I want to see Sabine. Sabine Wren is my girl. I want to see Thrawn.
Sabine,
Yeah, that'd be so cool. And honestly, I'm fingers crossed for a Harrison Dula appearance. She's actually my favorite character from Rebels. What were you gonna say, Dives?
Real quick nod. Like I love how Ryan picked up how like the Darksaber was heavy for Boba. Like you haven't seen anything because you know Sabine was whipping that shit around, man. She was awesome. So Sabine's gonna be another character.
Right? Yeah. She's like
Sabine's gonna be one of those characters that a lot of people are gonna be talking about.
Yeah, so that's my 1A. But to be fair, I'm probably gonna cry if I see Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor in their Jedi armor, like in the Clone Wars. If I get a Clone Wars flashback in Kenobi, I'm probably gonna cry. I'm just being honest.
We all will.
It's just that those adventures were so amazing, and Hayden Christensen honestly deserved better with all the crap the freaking fandom threw at him, and how the prequels were looked at before. But there was so much more, and I just wish he could have been a part of it. And this is his chance, in my opinion. So I really hope we get some Clone Wars flashbacks in Kenobi. We'll see.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen deserves all the good things because he is a nice man. Like, if you read any interview with him, like, he didn't let it get him down. Like, he has his farm up in Canada. Like, he is a nice man. Please do justice to him.
Yes, protect him. I saw a thirsty TikTok video of this chick where it's just like, it showed a picture of like a little girl, and it was like, I don't know, the audio was just like, I want to know your daddy, or I want to know who your daddy is. And then it cut to all of these pictures of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. And it had like 500,000 likes and views. And I'm just like, people are rabid for this man. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
So good for him.
There's two spectrums, right? There's like hate and love, but both sides are very scary. The internet is a scary place.
It's fucking nuts. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, I think that
a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
There it is.
We must be cautious.
That's a perfect quote for the internet. But I think that about wraps it up for us. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on? Star Wars related, Boba related?
Should we rank the episodes?
Did you want to do that really quick?
I could do it real quick.
Do you have a format for it?
No.
All right, so are we just gonna freestyle?
Like number one, yeah, freestyle, like number 1 to 7, right?
Okay, well, kick us off then.
All right, I'm definitely gonna go chapter 6. For me is my number 1. Chapter 5, number 2. Then I'm gonna go to chapter 2. I thought, you know, the Tusken Raider, the Terminator female Tusken Raider, killing everyone on that train was awesome. Plus, it gave us like an amazing background of the Tusken Raiders and that culture. I wish we had more of it, man. I was really digging the flashbacks. I was probably like, I was on that hill, you know, at Jon Snow, Jeff, that where like people were hating on the flashbacks. I loved them. I was really enjoying it. So after that, I'll probably go chapter 7 here, the finale, and then I'm gonna put all of the rest of the Robert Rodriguez ones like 3 tiers below that because they were bad.
You know, I was gonna say that was the one prediction I wish came true. I thought some of the Tuskens might have survived, maybe like 1 or 2, maybe the kid.
No,
and they didn't come back.
Like
I was like,
the female warrior one. Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
awesome. She was, and the little Tusken Raider.
Yeah, the little one. I was like, come on. Maybe they survived. Maybe they got away. But
Painful.
oh, my soul was crushed. Ryan, can do you think you can do it off the top of your head? Just rank them.
Yeah, I think so. So
Go for it.
my favorite episode was chapter 2. That train scene was just nicely done. Then chapter 3, then chapter 1, then chapter 4, then chapter 7, then chapter 5, and chapter 6.
Jeez, this guy, they dead. Okay, I know, but still, it doesn't mean it's not sad. Go ahead, Sarah, if you could do it. Rank the episodes.
Somehow Palpatine returns. So, okay. I think at the top of my head, I can think of like my top 3 favorite episodes. So I'll go between chapter 7, chapter 5, and I think chapter 2. Is that when he had his walkabout and went out and like brought the branch back and like that was okay.
That was
those,
chapter 2.
I would say those are my top, and then the other 4 kind of, somewhere around there. Because like I said, with chapter 6, I loved what I was looking at. Like it was physically pleasing. Like again, you see Grogu. I saw a tweet today that somebody was like, I cry like a newborn baby literally pulled out of the womb every time Grogu comes on screen. And I don't know if it's like Disneyland where they like pheromones shoot out of your screen when he comes on, but it's visceral. Like my sister came in my room last night and was like, she's like, are you watching the finale? And I was like, yeah, like get out of here. Like you can't see this. Because she's not caught up because she's dumb. But anyways, she was just like, I could hear you outside. And I was like, this morning, she was like, I heard you go, woo! And I was like, you know what that means? It's Grogu. When Grogu comes on screen, it's a squeal, it's an excitement, it's emotional. So, chapter 6 remains an interesting episode for me, just in terms of like, I loved it. I missed Boba. But like, yeah, I don't know where I put that one on there. It's the most enigmatic episode to me. So I keep going back to it. Maybe it's the AI Luke and voice that like my brain, like in Westworld, like Dolores can't even like process it because it's like, it looks so real, but it's not real. So anyways, that's that rant.
I was gonna say, I think for me, I'll just do a top 3. It's the ones up below it are kind of just whatever, and nothing against chapter 6 as well. I think it was wonderful, but I just don't think it had a true place in this story. So I'll go chapter 5. I thought Return of the Mandalorian within the Book of Boba Fett made sense because there would be no Book of Boba Fett without the Mandalorian, and we get the brothers at the end in the finale. So it made sense to have a Mandalorian centric episode, in my opinion. A lot of people disagreed. So I'll have chapter 5 as my number 1. Chapter 2 is my number 2. That was beautiful. Bryce Dallas Howard. I agree with everybody. I think she needs her own film, her own series, something. She is a talented filmmaker. She's got a great eye. She's got a great way of just tugging at our heartstrings with the tribal nature of the story. Of Boba finding his tribe. I love that theme in chapter 2, especially around the fire when he finally has his gaffy stick. And they're doing that chant and that little the forms together, beautiful. Like, wow, it's like samurai culture. Like, what's that, man?
But wouldn't it make sense if it was Cad Bane who killed the Tusken Raiders when he kills Cad Bane with the gaffy stick? Wouldn't it could you imagine fleshing that out just a little bit and
that would have made it nice and tighter. That would have tightened it up just a little bit more. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a misstep. So I think in that regard, Dibes, definitely a missed opportunity. But yeah, so I'll go chapter 5, number 1, chapter 2, number 2, and then for 3, I'll go with the finale. I just thought it wrapped things up beautifully, and I liked where Boba ended up. I loved the showdown with Boba and Cad, because for me, it's like, sometimes we don't need a 5-minute lightsaber battle over Mustafar. Sometimes we just need a close quarters, intimate battle for maybe a minute or 2, and it just, as long as the stakes are high, the emotions are high, and the characters are invested, I think that makes for a good showdown. One of the reasons why I love Kill Bill Volume 2, it wasn't even about their little swordplay for 30 seconds. It was all about the lead-ins to Kill Bill Volume 2. But that's not. What?
Yeah, there's a fight scene between Obi-Wan and a character I won't say in Star Wars Rebels that literally probably involves 2 or 3 moves. and it's the most emotional Star Wars fight scene of all time.
I think I know which one he's talking about.
I think everyone's been spoiled on that already. But Sarah, do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, does his name rhyme with Darth Maul?
That's
I almost
him.
just said it. I couldn't even think of anything. That
Like Obi-Wan just goes net, and it's over. But it was
Yeah.
so epic. It was so intense.
But
you
to
know
be
what?
fair,
By
that
the
was a
time-
true like samurai showdown because usually those fights aren't drawn out. It's quick. It's just you're dead. So
Yeah, it's kind of like when old Obi and Vader. I know it's kind of a clunky fight because it's it's old, but like you kind of get like that fight between old Obi-Wan and Darth Vader is not very quick, and like even though Mustafar, like that whole fight scene is like freaking however long, I feel like you'd be dead from being tired before you even got to like slice anybody down. But you get that magic like JFK shot where like when Anakin comes flying over, Obi-Wan does that in like one swipe. What, 2 swipes he chops off 3 limbs with what, a stroke of his lightsaber? It's like whomp whomp boom. Like I don't know. Anyway,
while we're
like,
all here, you actually, Sarah, I have a brain blast from what you're saying. How do you guys feel about the Obi-Wan series supposedly revisiting a duel between Vader and Obi-Wan? Do you guys feel okay with that? Because I feel like it ruins New Hope for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. To bring it back to Boba referring to Cad Bane as an old man, I feel like that's very Star Wars poetry because you have Kylo Ren talking to the old guy, Max von Snowden in Force Awakens, and he's like, look how old you've become, in that freaking voice. And then you have Vader being totally Anakin and being like, bitch, look how like old you are. And it's like Obi-Wan's like
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
see,
That
supposedly
line
they're
of,
supposed to fight in between, and I just find that so odd because like New Hope, it's like I haven't seen you in a long time. It's like
do you think Obi will know that Darth Vader is Anakin? Because in the book that I read today, it starts off with this little like intro of like Obi-Wan not knowing that Anakin survived and is now Darth Vader. So like I wonder when he'll find that out in the show.
That's a good point. Because
I think he knows though.
If you remember in A New Hope, he doesn't call him Anakin; he calls him Darth. Remember?
No, but
he's with
I don't know
Luke.
if this was retcon while they were writing Empire, but he admitted to Luke that he lied, that
Yeah.
Darth did kill his father in spirit.
No, like in Obi-Wan's like heart and soul, like he's dead. Like Anakin is dead. That's really what Obi-Wan's about for me.
It's like a metaphor.
Is like this is justice for Anakin. That's what this show is. So I'm excited to see Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor is going to be terrific, but this is about giving Anakin the spotlight and kind of correcting some of their mistakes.
Real quick, I want to say shouts out to Darth Pooh. Say it again, Mustafar. Ooh, you guys seen The Lion King?
Yeah.
Ooh.
We don't talk about Mustafar. No. I don't know if you can't know.
We don't talk about Mustafa.
Nice. Loving the energy. But I think that about wraps it up for us. I cannot wait. May 25 is going to be awesome. So let's kind of wrap things up here. Sarah, it was such a pleasure having you. It was such a great time.
Thank you guys very much.
I love the references. You're killing it. Let people know where they could find you on socials. Do you have anything coming up with your podcast? I know you have your own show.
As far as social goes, I just have the old Twitter. You can find me at Sarah Skywalker or Sarah Palpatine, depending on what the search lets you do. And then I have Hello There, which is my podcast on Star Wars animation. It's been a couple weeks since I've done an episode. And I also have Curiosity Killed the Cat, which I get into more like kind of whatever HBO shows are going at the time, different movies. I've been doing a Boba Fett episode since this has come out. So yeah, just kind of like, you never know if it's going to be a TV show review or a movie review, but going to be getting into a lot of fantasy stuff over the next couple months and several weeks, like Willow, Princess Bride, those those kind of fun movies.
Inconceivable. I love it.
Inconceivable. Yes.
So honestly, I just want to shoot out a formal invitation. If you ever want to jump back on with us, or
Yes.
vice versa, if you want us to jump on your show, we will gladly join you.
Absolutely.
We were so glad to have you, Sarah.
And the
yeah,
fantasy
if you ever
draft.
get into Godfather Part 2, just let me know.
Yes.
We'll talk about it.
Well, when season 2 of our movie drafts comes around, we're definitely going to be doing a fantasy movie draft. I'm a huge fantasy genre. We did reviews of Wheel of Time, all that. So I'd love to have you.
I know.
check
I
it.
want to binge watch that now that it's all
good.
out there.
It's good.
Dives hates me because I refuse to watch it.
I hate you for a lot more reasons.
I
than
will watch it. I will.
that.
Ryan, always a pleasure, man. Where can people find you? What you got going on? I know we got some holdups with Scott Pilgrim, but what else you got going on, man?
Yeah, but before I do that, I want to thank you guys for having me on throughout the duration of the show. I hope that I can be invited back sometime to review like another show, hopefully in the future. I would love to be back. And I'm just very grateful to be on here for the previous 7 weeks. It's been a lot of fun. And people can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. There's, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just called Ryan Cam. This week, dropped a Twilight Zone video where I reviewed the famous episode, The Howling Man. That was a lot of fun. Next week is going to be The Eye of the Beholder. And if you've seen the episode, you know exactly what it's about.
That's my favorite episode.
Which one is that one?
The operating table, but you can't see their faces, and they're like, this woman's like horribly disfigured, supposedly,
but she looked okay. Yes.
That's like legit the best episode of.
That's my favorite episode.
And spoiler alert.
Me and my 9-year-old have been binge watching it.
And the spoiler is that the twist is that the woman is like movie star good looking, and the rest of the people have like just uggo faces.
Pig faces.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So that's going to be coming on. That's going to be happening on Mondays. Today, I dropped episode 6 of my podcast, Life in the Movies, with Ryan and Jacob. We discussed the Batman and its 3-hour runtime, and my co-host Jacob clued me in onto a 1920s Hitchcock movie that talks about sexual assaults. So yeah.
Very bold of old Alfred Hitchcock to do that.
The 1920s, he just had to be there. But
no thanks.
that dropped on the channel today. And then, of course, I'll be reviewing Death on the Nile and Marry Me. I want to do both because I'm looking forward to both. And then the
Marry Me looks good.
And then the Scott Pilgrim collab I'm doing with Lowe is delayed, but we will be making it work. It's gonna happen.
Yes.
And then after that, my next Sunday video will be my first reaction to a little movie called The Social Network. It's pretty important. So that's all coming up.
Awesome.
Awesome.
We have a pretty stacked agenda coming up, man. Let people know where they could find us, where they could find us, and what we got going on.
Suit Up Geeks on Twitter. Rom-com draft is coming up this Saturday night. I'm so excited. We've never done a rom-com genre before. I'm in the midst of, I'm probably halfway through my rankings. So many great films here to celebrate on Saturday night, 8 o'clock.
Had to be 6 rounds, man.
It's going to be 6 rounds. It is going to be a ton of fun, just celebrating everything about the romantic comedy genre. We're still looking for one more, Sarah. If you're interested, let me know.
I was going to say, I definitely will be tuning into that because I asked one of my friends not too long ago. We got into Tom from the Clone Cast podcast. We got into Dark Disciple. So Ventress and Quinlan Voss. And I real quick, Cad Bane, I did see him in a Clone Wars episode that I literally jumped into because Quinlan Voss was like jumping in like this episode like the whole time. But I asked him, I said, what do you romantic comedy wise, like what do you think like certain Star Wars characters like favorite romantic comedy would be? And like, I feel like Quinlan Voss is like a Julia Roberts kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Like he can throw on like My Best Friend's Wedding or Pretty Woman. Yeah. But like, Luke is like a Meg Ryan kind of a fan. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, Mara Jade, what's her favorite romantic comedy? She probably doesn't like romantic comedies. I don't even know her, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like Rey Skywalker's back there probably watching like Kate Hudson movies. You know, I don't know.
Also, yeah,
I'll lose a guy in 10 days.
I'm gonna talk to you more about that offline. But so we also
That
have
was
Jack.
so funny.
That is really good, actually. I love that Luke likes Meg Ryan. I can totally see it.
He likes her little nose, her little button nose.
Oh, my face hurts. That was awesome.
And we also tomorrow night we're gonna have a late review of Jackass Forever. Me and Manda will be doing that one. Still looking for maybe a guest or two, but we'll see what happens. It might just be me and Manda. So would love actually. I just saw that Darth Poo.
This needs to be a show right now. We're doing this. This is hilarious.
I was gonna say I didn't love Actually, but like I totally get why it's such a
That's hilarious.
acclaimed film. I totally get it. The cast is amazing, but
We got Sabe in it, Keira Knightley herself. You've got Padme's favorite handmaiden in it. So
yeah, we got Qui-Gon
there you
Jinn. Liam Neeson's there with his young boy.
Oh,
that was my favorite story.
he's
That was my
so
favorite story
bad.
actually.
Yeah, it was an old Professor Cheater Snape.
Oh right, that's the one
Yeah.
I hated. God, he was so like God. Emma Thompson's so wonderful, and it's like, oh, I hate Alan Rickman. Anyways, spoilers, guys. Whoa, sorry. If anyone hasn't seen Love Actually, sorry. So yeah, please tune in tomorrow on this channel. We're doing a Jackass Forever review, and that about wraps it up for us. So for Sarah, for Ryan, for Dibes, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe down below if you haven't yet. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.